Introduction. Welcome, dear reader. The idea of writing this book came about naturally and took some time to mature, much like Swiss cheeses aging on the shelves of ancient dairies. Now, you can delve into the lunar shadows encountered on your path and discover aspects of yourself previously unseen. This book is dedicated to the tarot deck known as Deviant Moon. Unlike other tarot books, it does not offer ready-made meanings of individual cards and their combinations. Instead, I propose a deep dive into the arcana of Deviant Moon, enabling you to create your interpretations based on the symbols and keys of the deck. Even if you are beginning to explore tarot, this book will help expand your basic knowledge, which is essential for successful work with any deck, not only Deviant Moon. I hope this book will also help practice psychologists who use tarot cards in client diagnostics. The fundamental properties of the Deviant Moon deck allow for a significant reduction in analysis time. As the saying goes, time is money and money loves counting. The quicker you identify and resolve your client's issues, the more satisfied they will leave, likely recommending you to their friends and acquaintances. I trust you understand the practical benefits I'm discussing. So, what is the Tarot Deviant Moon? One of the most sought-after decks in the world, Deviant Moon also stirs much controversy. Patrick Valenza, the author of this remarkable deck, developed it over 30 years. It rightfully ranked among the top 10 decks of the year in 2008 and 2013 and remains one of the 3 most popular decks, according to the authoritative internet portal Eclectic Tarot. The cards were published in 2 variants, with and without borders. Deviant Moon follows the Waitsmith tradition, but the Strength and Justice arcana are numbered 11 and 8, respectively, as in the Marseille Tarot, French occult decks, and Crowleyan tradition decks. Deviant Moon excels when using classic weight interpretations. Still, it truly shines when you read exclusively by the shadow aspects that form the essence of deviations, from Latin deviatio, hidden in its unique symbolism. The deviant behavior of characters in the arcana images reflects the psychological processes deep within us. We may not always recognize them, but they are the fundamental factor on which our behavior and reactions to events ultimately depend. Like everything in this world, problems in our lives are subject to the law of cause and effect. When working with a client or engaging in self-analysis, classic interpretations of the tarot arcana may not always indicate the true causes of existing difficulties, and here the paranormal. Interpretations of the Tarot Deviant Moon can be very timely. Thus, working with this deck at least doubles the interpretative resources you or your client can use to improve your life. I invite you to make yourself comfortable and embark on a journey through the world of hidden motives, exerting as vital an influence on your life as the moon does on the tides and ebbs of the world ocean. Part 1. Diving into the Abyss. Major Arcana. Beneath the thin veneer of personality presented by a person in society, be it a man, a lady, or an innocent maiden, boils an abyss full of angels and monsters. While the former readily show themselves in the light, the latter dwell at the very bottom. Yet both exist. Innocence does not exist even in thoughts. Natalia Solntseva, Dance of the Seven Veils. Since ancient times, the moon has been extolled by poets and other creative individuals as one of the greatest muses, inspiring them to create beauty in the grandeur of a quiet night while the rest of the townspeople sleep soundly in their beds. There is no definitive, scientifically substantiated answer to whether the moon affects human life. Research gives very contradictory results. Some patterns cannot be ignored. For example, during a full moon, the number of births increases, heart attacks, insomnia, or sleep disturbances occur more frequently, and mental illnesses exacerbate. Yet many people feel like they have a second wind during the full moon. Nevertheless, no one can definitively prove that the moon impacts human biology. We still know too little about the moon and how we are structured. Interestingly, since ancient times, there has been a tradition of dividing people into lunar and solar types. Lunar people have developed imaginations and intuition, are very sensitive and sentimental, often introspective, and capable of empathizing with others as if living one of their own lives. Solar people, generally, have less developed or even absent imaginations and are somewhat egocentric, but are quite easy and fun to interact with. They use their intuition little because they are constantly engaged in understanding the external world, unlike lunar people who love to delve into their microcosm and decipher its mysteries. These diggers of human souls often seem otherworldly. Interacting with them can be challenging but immensely interesting. They will gladly listen to all your problems and help you make the right decision. One might say they perform karmic work, assisting people to find themselves. Speaking of the lunar person, I aim to shape your perception of a character who can dive into their depths and analyze themselves, recognizing their shadow aspects and subordinating them. Not by suppressing them, but by integrating them into their inner conscious space to create more comfortable living conditions. For those unfamiliar with the works of Carl Gustav Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, I will briefly discuss what the shadow and persona are and how they manifest in the tarot deviant moon. The human psyche can be conditionally divided into consciousness and the unconscious. Our persona is connected to consciousness, while the shadow is linked to the unconscious. The persona is the social mask we wear whenever we want to be liked by someone or go out into society. The shadow is that part of our psyche where we repress everything unacceptable about ourselves, contradicting our ego's mandates or the environment we inhabit. Jung wrote, "The figure of the shadow personifies everything the subject does not acknowledge in themselves and yet, directly or indirectly, repeatedly emerges into their consciousness, for example, deficient traits of their character or other unacceptable tendencies." In fact, the shadow is uncontrollable by the ego, but our task is to find our shadow and integrate it into our persona, thereby becoming more conscious individuals. In most cases, we are unaware of our shadow sides, but they are almost always projected onto others. The play of such projections can be seen by analyzing the cause of our irritation, which arises in response to another person's behavior or actions. Of course, not every adverse reaction to another is the voice of our shadow. The cause of irritation may lie not in us, but in that person violating ethical laws, etc. However, if you decide to analyze the reasons for your reactions, you may be surprised at how little we understand our lives. You will have many unpleasant revelations regarding the truthfulness of your actions and thoughts, continuously affecting your life within the causal chain of various events. That is why every tarologist should have the Deviant Moon Tarot deck in their arsenal. Only it can show you the true face of those causes that lead to current problems and directly relate to future success.